We're going live now to the floor of Parliament where, as we said, the upsurge in COVID-19 cases is the center of conversation right now. Take a listen.
Ghana Health Service is limited because one update they have never given is the revenue expenditure aspect of COVID-19. Because we do not know how much revenue has come in and how much this government has spent on COVID-19. And Mr. Speaker, we cannot win the fight against COVID if our interventions are not right. If we do not invest rightly and be transparent with our investment on this infectious disease. And therefore the call to come out clearly on what has come into the coffers and what we have spent the money on and for what is very critical in winning the fight. Mr. Speaker, what is happening now globally is that a new strain has come up. In Ghana, we do not know whether what we are battling with is the old one or the new one. We need an answer for that. And what has contributed to the situation of cases going up is that it's like during the campaign season, the heat of it, the discussion, the interventions, and almost all the preventive protocol aspects were relaxed. And therefore, the people also relaxed. The vertical buckets, you don't have water. The soap, you can't find. The sanitizers are for the rich now. So once we relaxed the protocols, then we are not surprised to see an increase in numbers of COVID in our health facilities. And we are not saying it. About 2 days ago, I heard the Director General of Ghana Health Service saying that in some of the treatment facilities, close to about 60% of the beds are occupied, meaning our health facilities are overstretched, and there's no debate about that. And this is the time we need to have transparent discussion on the management of COVID. We should leave partisanship. We should leave, this one says from this party and this one comes to counter. That will not help us fight COVID-19. Other bodies like the Ghana Medical Association have come out also saying that there's a need to reinforce, the protocols on COVID-19 because they believe that now there's no regard for the protocols and there's no enforcement. People say that in Ghana we are good at making laws, but the enforcement of those laws is our challenge. And that is the same thing we're facing in COVID-19 because we know what to do, but the enforcement of what to do is a challenge. And therefore, I join colleagues asking for public education for us to go back, to obey the protocols, to abide by them, and to ensure that we win the fight together. More PPEs should be sent to our health facilities. Now there's no minister, and I hope very soon we'll get a competent minister for health, whoever that minister may be. A very competent minister. I don't know the person because I'm not the one to nominate, but I am calling for a competent minister to take us out of this trouble. Right, Honorable Speaker, we need more PPEs because Our facilities are overstretched. They have no PPEs, and we need to push more resources to our health facilities to be able to deliver and to be able to help in the fight. Mr. Speaker, schools have reopened, and I'm concluding. Schools have reopened, and many are asking whether we have prepared adequately to open schools. And that call is important.
Yes, Honorable Deputy Leader, right?
Mr. Speaker, with respect, my colleague is making a very good contribution, but there was an aspect where he said that there is lack of transparency in expenditure regarding this COVID intervention. But Mr. Speaker, for the record, Mr. Speaker, please, Mr. Speaker, factually, we have had the Minister of Finance coming to this House to report on these. The Ministry of Health has also come here. So, Mr. Speaker, the terms of contribution under the item we are treating requires that we make brief comment and not get into the arena of debate. If you are being speculative by talking about lack of transparency, when we have reports in this House, unless your argument is to challenge the report and the figures, if you are not, then, Mr. Speaker, I humbly will pray that you order my colleague to get on the path of righteousness. That is, he should not continuously be arguing on that line because it's misleading and is not anchored on fact. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member may continue.
Thank you, right?
Please,
Honorable Speaker.
Yes, wind up. We have an important item to take. So please, if you may conclude.
Thank you, right, Honorable Speaker. In conclusion, and to emphasize and make myself more clear, I said the Director General of the Ghana Health Service and his colleague directors have been doing very well in giving updates. But what I find missing is updates on revenue and expenditure on COVID. And there's a need for us, all of us, to be transparent on the revenue and expenditure figures. So, Mr. Speaker, in concluding on the schools being reopened or about to be reopened, we don't think, or many people in this country doubt, whether our schools have been adequately prepared for reopening. And I'm saying that that call is right, and the government has to do very well to ensure that the necessary facilities, the necessary preparations are done at our schools before we reopen. And on the vaccine, what I'll say is that as a country, as Ghanaians, we should not be afraid. We shouldn't be quick to say the vaccines are bad or good. Let's rely on the necessary authorities to ensure that safe and efficacious vaccines are brought quickly to ensure that the fight against COVID-19 is achieved. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much for the opportunity.
Honorable members, this brings us to the end of statements. We will now move to, well, it's also coming in the form of statement. Item 4, by leadership, on the determination of the formula for the composition of membership of committees, parliamentary delegations, and other parliamentary groups and associations. Leadership, are you ready to make the statement?
Speaker, I've been in consultation with my colleague, the Honorable Member in charge of the NDC caucus in the House, in respect of the formula for the composition of membership of committees. Mr. Speaker, we have related to the prime committees to be formed, not parliamentary groups and associations for the time being. At an appropriate time, we shall deal with that. We have been in consultation and we've arrived at some conclusion. Unfortunately, I've just been informed that my colleague has had to travel out to Tamale because of the transition of an uncle of his. But that indeed represents the state of affairs now. So I guess if it's agreeable, then I could present the paper that we have written and submit same to the House. But first, plenary discussions, I guess, is what they've written here as statement. It's really relating to the course of events, respect to the discussions that we have had relating to the determination of the formula for the composition of membership of committees in the House. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much.
Yes, the available leader.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, per the consultations of leadership as I'm aware, and looking at the numbers as we have now, I don't see the difficulty in the computation of the figures, given the 3 committees that we have to be constituted as soon as possible. Especially the committee on selection, of which you are the chairman, is clear, which is going to be composed of 20 members. Given the numbers that we have, I think that committee has to be put in place, and the numbers either 137 or 138. If you have 20, it will be 10-10. After which, if leadership will have to go into conclave again and come up with the ratio which I know is conspicuous and known. 49.8 and 50.1 is 50-50, approximately, to the nearest whole numbers. We learned this one when we were in elementary school. So we have no difficulty in computing that mathematics at all. The 2 other committees, Mr. Speaker, will be appointment committees, which is 26. And if it is 50-50, it will be 13-13. And the business committee, which is 20, will be 10-10. So, Mr. Speaker, in order not to waste time, we have to put emphasis on the committee on selection, of which is going to be 20 members. And I agree with the leader when he says we have to do that one first. So without wasting much time, I think the committee of selection will have to be constituted. The formula, which is so conspicuous and known to everybody, will have no difficulty in computing at all. So with these few words, Mr. Speaker, I raise my case.
Honorable members, we now move to the commencement of public business. Item 5, laying of papers. A, by the leadership of the House. 5A, Roman 1. Report of leadership on the formula for composition of membership of committees and the committee of selection. Yes, Honorable.
Speaker, as the Deputy Whip for the Speaker, as the Deputy Whip for the minority has indicated, we spoke about it and agreed on the formula, which then informed us on the composition of membership of the committees, in particular the Committee on Selection. So, Speaker, I would bow to that as agreed upon, and then so I'll submit that one and go to do B. A, Roman number 2, is not going to be attended to now because, Mr. Speaker, the composition of parliamentary delegations and parliamentary groups and associations hasn't arisen yet. But this one affects 5A1, and I'll go on to do 5B.
Is 5B ready?
Yes, both A1 and B, they are both ready.
Honorable members, the report of leadership on the formula for composition of membership of committees and the committee of selection duly presented to the House, and copies should be He did. Yes, Honorable.
Speaker, I thought I had laid the report, but I guess some of our colleagues didn't get the import of what I did. So I may want to do so again.
Report of leadership on the formula for composition of membership of committees and the committees of selection.
Laid copies to be distributed to members. 5B.
Report of the Committee of Selection on the composition of the appointments and business committees.
The paper has accordingly been laid and is for distribution to honorable members. Yes, honorable member, yes.
Mr. Speaker, I guess there is a bit of a mix-up. I thought B related to the Committee on Selection. My attention has been drawn to the fact that it relates to appointments and business committee. So 5B is not ripe yet to be laid in the House. So let me accordingly withdraw what I did. So we're going to have to deal with just 5A. A, Roman number 1. A, Roman number 1.
You are saying 5B?
No, 5B.
5B.
The time has not arrived yet with respect to 5B. When I read, when I saw Committee on Selection, I thought It was a Committee on Selection report. Apparently, it's captured under 5A1. So 5B should be considered undone. Honorable members, the paper on 5B has accordingly been withdrawn. I don't know the pleasure of the House now. If the House is minded to continue, I may have to suspend sitting for some minutes. Speaker, I believe we can quickly deal with items listed as 6 and 7 and conclude business for the day. The 6 is procedural, but I know your difficulty and challenge. If you want to suspend for about 2-3 minutes to do what needs to be done, I guess we'll wait patiently for you. But if you think you can resist and indeed tolerate us for about 10 minutes, I believe we can bring this thing to a closure. Honorable members,
Those are live visuals coming to you from Parliament, where you see in your shots right now the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, of course, flanked by the men who help him in the House. And they're deliberating on taking a quick break, but perhaps a few issues that they can deal with before they go on that particular break. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo is on the ground with us. He'll be joining us so we can have a bit more of discussion. But so far, what we know is that the Speaker has indicated or declared that the NPP plus the Fomina Member of Parliament, who is an independent candidate, constitute the majority group in Parliament. What has not been done so far in the proceedings is him referring to any of the sides as majority or minority. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo tells us we have to hope that afterwards, after this when this particular meeting rises, he will do so. We're looking out for that. They've been talking about COVID-19. They're having concerns about how much we have spent so far on COVID-19 protocols and all the interventions that we've put in the COVID-19 fight. Well, let's go back to Parliament right now.
Leadership of the House.
Speaker, I beg to move that, notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 81, which require that no motion shall be debated until at least 48 hours have elapsed between the date on which notice of the motion is given and the date on which the motion is moved. The motion for the adoption of the reports of leadership on the formula for the composition of membership committees, and in particular the committee of selection, may be moved today. I so move.
Any seconder?
Right, Honorable Speaker, I rise to second the motion.
Motion moved and seconded. It's now for the consideration of the House.